how was the transition for you moving from Baltimore to Richmond, following, the voice of God?
Ooh, child. I'm still transitioning. No, but seriously, I think that it was very difficult for me because, like you said, like it was my home and my community and my safety net. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
I thought you was gonna come at me because you hate it when I say that.
Nope. You good.
Welcome to our podcast. It's not a trend, it's not a wave, but it's the culture. And we're super happy to have you guys here with us today.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about something that is a hot topic for our family and really for a lot of people that I think people don't talk about enough. And that is the topic of transition.
Definitely. Transition. We love it. We love
it. I don't like it.
I love
he
transition.
Loves it.
I love transitioning.
I don't like it.
I mean, it makes you a better person, right? I mean, don't you agree? I mean, I definitely agree. Transitions make you a better person in life.
Transitions get on my nerves because who wants to shift out of something that they're comfortable in? Who wants to shift out of something that seems like it's working? But I don't want to get ahead of myself. We are celebrating 1 year of one of the biggest transitions that our family has ever made. And that is moving from Baltimore, Maryland to Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, 1 year. 1 year. Uno años. 1 year. The Lord has been good.
Yeah, so you want to tell them how this transition came about? Because while most people would like to think that I initiate things, this was not my doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, so it all started. Well, of course, we were in Baltimore, and God spoke to me, and of course, I hear His voice loud and clear, and I'm like, God, you got it. I got you. So I called my wife and I said, hey, babe, listen, I just got an epiphany. God just gave me some knowledge about something, and tell me what you think about it. And she said, what? So I said, God told us to move to Virginia. She said, wait, what? I hope like you heard God right. And I'm like, no, I definitely heard God right. He said, move to Virginia. I don't know where about in Virginia, but move to Virginia. So I was like, you know what? All right, God, my wife is trying to test me, but I know I heard you. I know I heard your voice. So that's what we're going to do. And then she tells me, well, I want you to go pray about it again. I was like, there's no need to.
No. Before I uprooted my family from a place of comfort, from a place of everything we need was at our fingertips, from a place where we had friends and family surrounding us, Indeed. To a place where we know nobody but two people. I need you to understand. Not only did the Lord have to speak to him, but Jesus was going to have to speak to me because, listen, I trust my husband. I do. But I needed the Lord to ascend like a dove. He needed to have a Noah moment with me because I really needed to know what in the world, what was he cooking up there? There was nothing wrong with Baltimore. I feel like our lives were fine. We had really good jobs. We lived in a nice community. We lived in Towson, Maryland. You feel me? That's another episode for another day. But we lived in Towson, Maryland, and I was really attached to my community and my friends and my church family, and I just could not see why God would want to uproot me from that place.
So, keyword, you said you weren't ready to uproot yourself from your community. So we had needed to be one within our marriage, within our space. And I felt as though it was like, you know what? we need to make a strategic move that's going to incorporate both of our selves to make a community. So like I said, God said move to Virginia, so we moved. And it wasn't easy. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. It wasn't easy, but it was not easy. Doing the whole moving process, or the starting to get ready to move in process, we ended up looking for jobs. We got the jobs and applied to college, got into college, a wonderful church family. I mean, everything was here. I mean, everything that God had wanted us to be a part of has definitely been here. And so I was just like, I'm thankful for the transition. I'm thankful for my wife listening to me, following her husband, because let me tell you, if I was not in the will of God doing stuff the right way, the way God had wanted me to do it, and she followed me into some mess, man, I can't
Let's
even.
be clear. If he was not in the will of God, he would have been walking on his own, because what I wasn't going to do was follow him in some mess. But that's a really good point. I think that as women, as wives, sometimes we get caught up in having to know what's next, what the next places are. But one of the things that I've realized is that it's very important for us to follow our husbands as they follow God. We always said we want a man of God. We want him to listen to the voice of God. But that means that when he does hear the voice of God, we need to trust that he's heard the voice of God. And I think that's always been an issue between men and women. Mm-hmm. There's a trust factor that I think it's like women don't trust men. And I could be wrong, but this is just what I've noticed, that women struggle to trust men and men struggle to trust women. Mm-hmm. And I think it started all the way back in the beginning. Like Adam and Eve, you think about like Eve was like, okay, we finna eat this fruit, right? Yeah. And gave it to Adam. Thanks. And when the Lord asked, what's up? Adam was like, no, it was that woman that you gave me.
She did it.
Like,
it was her.
You know what I mean? Immediately it was just like the ops. Like, oh my gosh. Like, what happened to us being one? And I think that's a tactic that the enemy has used over and over again. But there is power in realizing that I trust you as you trust God. Mm-hmm. And in that moment when I was able to trust you as I trusted God, I believe our marriage got stronger, mm-hmm. and our relationship with God got stronger, because it wasn't just about trusting you. It was really about trusting the God in you.
Absolutely.
And it's really important. I know this isn't about marriage or anything, but it's really important when you're choosing a mate that you choose somebody that loves and listens to God, mm-hmm. because then you can trust the God in them even when you can't trust them. Like, that was huge for me.
Strong words. Love that. But let me ask you this. How was your you personally, mm-hmm. how was the transition for you moving from Baltimore to Richmond, following, the voice of God?
Ooh, child. It was very difficult for me because, like you said, like, it was my home and my community and my safety net. And although I believe it was worth it for me to move to something that became ours, I believe that you definitely heard God. I believe that he's opened door after door after door because of our obedience. It was very, very difficult. I mean, transition actually triggers rejection and abandonment for me. I don't like transition because I always fear abandoning what I'm leaving behind and rejection for what I'm moving into. Baltimore was comfort for me. I didn't feel like the new kid on the block anywhere. I went to college there in 2012. Shout out to the illustrious Morgan State University. And I built a community, a family. I joined a church. I was a member of the same church for years. I had the same friends for years. I'm a member of a sorority. And so it was definitely comfort for me. But I realized that in this season, God wanted to bring me to another level of my faith. Bible talks about going from faith to faith and from glory to glory. And I believe that although I had faith in him, transition exposes the weak places in your faith. Because when you transition from one place to another, usually you don't really know where you're going. And I feel like that's what it was for me to get to Richmond, Virginia. When I tell you we knew two people. Shout out to Apostle Cheryl and Apostle Dwayne Whitehead, who have been holding us down since day one of our transition.
Holding it down.
Why? You know what he reminds me of? Sorry, y'all. Like, that was such a Steve Urkel moment. Like, he just sounded so much like Steve Urkel. No, but seriously, they were the only two people that we knew out here.
Thanks.
And that was very scary. But I believe that while transition was very hard, like I said, it was very worth it. My faith in God has never been the same. Our family has never been the same. My career, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
My career has never been the same. Our relationship with God and each other has never been the same. And I really do believe that it shifted us.
It did. So for me, the same question that I asked to you, for me, the transition before we moved was, I miss my wife. Like I'm a lover. Like I love my wife, like near and dear.
Oh, I love you too, Tinky.
So, whenever I get back from work and, and I, picked up our son from school, she wouldn't be home already. So I'm like, Dad, 6 o'clock already. What's going on? Mind you, she worked all the way in DC. So I'm just like, okay, I know she's traveling. So I'll give her some traveling grace and mercy. But, when she got home, she was tired. And then on top of that, from her being tired, she had, other work that was being dealt with, that she was doing, while trying to recuperate herself. So I never really had the actual give me that one-on-one time with my wife, type moment. I missed her so much. She was always out and about doing stuff, doing things, for the church, for the community, all good stuff. There's nothing bad about it. I mean, shoot, I was by her side doing some of that as well. But at the same time, I wanted family, and I'm a family man. So I really wanted to be around my family so much. And I think God really heard my heart. And when I did have that one-on-one moment with God, and he told me, this, and I was like, okay, God, I'm listening to you. I'm definitely going to follow suit. I just got to present this to my wife, and I don't know how she's going to take it. When we did finally make the transition to Virginia, as she said, it was just nothing but doors opening. We get accepted into college. We just from knowing two people, we get a magnitude of friends, a magnitude of community. I mean, even my business, she said her career has developed so much more. My career, as in being a photographer, has opened up tremendously. I've never gotten so many gigs out here. I mean, it's amazing, right? God has been looking out for us for so long, and I'm a faith believer. I move by faith and not by sight. So every time I do something by faith, I walk by faith, God be blessing. Like, it is absolutely amazing. Like, I can't even talk more about it. I don't even have nothing much more to say about it, because like God has been that good, and he never stopped being that good to us.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you say, since we've been here, that our family life has improved?
Most certainly.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So family life, we ended up having another bundle of joy. Kyrie.
What they say, Kyrie.
My wife and I, we found a place where we're comfortable in being husband and wife. That means a lot for myself. She finds me more funnier than ever. I find her more funnier. And
I find you funny.
You know I'm funny. Stop playing. You know I'm funny.
He swear he is like the biggest comedian, bro. But the reality is, I'm the funny one.
Yeah, all right.
Ario. Stop it. It's me, y'all. I'm the funny one.
Indeed. Take a vote. We'll take a vote on it. Who's
Yeah,
funny
we're
or not.
gonna have y'all vote on it, but
Yeah, we'll take a vote on
don't
that.
just be voting to like not hurt his feelings, because he'll be fine.
Hurt my feelings.
It's me.
Hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I am funny. I'm extremely.
We've grown a lot in Christ together, and we're doing ministry together. So I love that for us. And then our son is happy. Our oldest son, Ariel, he's happy. He loves where he is. He loves what he's doing. He loves the fact that he has a little brother now, and wow, excuse me. That he has a little brother now, and he gets to love up on him. He gets to love up on his mom and I all at the same time. I look at it and I'm just be at awe. It's like, I'll be like, man, wow, family.
I think
Like the
one of the
Torettos.
things.
It's about family.
Who are the Torettos?
Fast Five.
Sorry, didn't
Fast
see
and
it.
Furious.
Didn't see it.
Dominic Toretto.
Was Bow Wow in it?
Vin Diesel.
Was Bow Wow the one
the
in
bald-headed
it? Was
guy.
Bow Wow in it?
One of them.
Oh, that's the only one I saw.
Tokyo Drift.
Period. Shout out to Shag Gregory Moss. Anyway.
Wow.
No, but I think to speak a little bit on the family aspect of it, I believe that in this time I learned how to, or in this transition, I learned how to prioritize my family. I learned that my family is to be at the forefront of my life. And I can't always say that I've done the best job at that. Someone asked me recently, like, how do you balance ministry and your career and your family? And I said, I don't. And they were like, huh? And I was like, I don't. When I think of balancing, I think of trying to make everything level out so that, everything weighs the same. And I feel like I've learned that I don't balance my family. I prioritize it.
Yeah.
My family is to come first after God. And when I prioritize my family, I find that God gives me grace and capacity to do the ministry, to do the community exploits, to do the different things that He's given to my hands and to my heart. But I believe that it happens with ease when I follow God's order. And God's order is, it's God, then my family, then everything else. And I believe our marriage has improved. I believe our children have a better quality of life because we don't balance each other. We prioritize
Yeah.
each other. And I think that was what was missing in Baltimore. And I can take 100% ownership of that because Baltimore was my stomping ground and I became an adult in Baltimore. A lot of firsts happened in Baltimore. When we moved to Baltimore, it was almost like reacclimating myself to my regularly scheduled programming.
Wow.
But I couldn't have, I shouldn't have done that because it's not my regularly scheduled programming. When I left Baltimore, I was single with no children.
Yeah.
And I was in my early 20s. And to come back to Baltimore and to be in my late 20s, to be married and to have a child, you can't look at life the same. You can't go back to the way things used to be. And the reality is that's not what God, designed for us. And I believe that Baltimore definitely served its purpose in our lives. But the thing about transition is that not only does it take faith in God, but it also takes faith in knowing that what you leave behind is not going to be better than what you're walking into.
Yeah.
The Bible says it like this, like your latter will be greater than the former. And I believe that what we have walked into is not only a new season, but is a greater season for our family, for our careers, for our relationships, for our ministry that we could not have foreseen a year ago. Like, I don't think that when we moved out here, we could have predicted the past 365 days.
Nah.
We sure did not predict Kyrie Elliott, but I think, I know God knows the plans that He has for us, and that all He needed for us to do was to trust Him and everything else aligned in our lives.
Yeah, He'll make a way. He'll make a way for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Indeed.
I think in this, the biggest lesson that we learn and the best advice we could give to anybody going through transition is to trust God with your transition, not just in it, but with it. Mm-hmm. That His hands are in it. You know what I mean? Like, He knows the beginning from the ending. He's been to your tomorrow. So if He tells you to pivot and to transition, yeah, it may be uncomfortable. Yes, it may seem like, where am I going and what am I doing and how am I going to get there and what am I going to do when I get there? But one thing that I think both of us have learned is that God is in control. And if He tells us to do something, that He has it under control. To trust God with the transition.
I think something just came back to me when you said that. I remember when we were courting each other. I remember this distinctively. I remember you was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Da 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 da. And it had something pertaining to church. And I said, why are you always running from God? Why you don't just trust? Why don't you just trust His plan for you? Like, maybe it's your plan for Him. Maybe it's His plan for you to be at this particular church right now, like for you to do this or for to do that. Like, there's a season that God is probably trying to put you into, and you're like rebelling against it. And I think that's the hardest part.
This is when I was out here trying to be for the streets, and the Lord was telling me that I was going to be somebody preacher, and I was like, ha 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 ha.
Right. And like I said, I remember distinctively telling her this, and I was just like, just do it. Like, just do what God is asking you to do. But I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people, is they don't accept what God is telling them to where to go for this transitioning part of their lives, because they're so comfortable that they don't hear the voice of God. Or if they do hear God, they're just like, God, you know what? Deuces to you. I already know you already know my tomorrow, but I'm gonna do my tomorrow right now. And I'm going to make it look different because I want to do what I want to do.
I think that it is that He gives us free will and He's sovereign at the same time. And so I feel like God does, reroute situations, and sometimes He makes it harder. But I think for me, He didn't really make it harder. I feel like He gave me so much grace and so much mercy and so much love that I felt like I owed it to Him to listen.
Yeah.
Like, He won me over with love, not hardness. And I think sometimes, He be having to, whoopsh. But I feel like for me, it wasn't like that. I feel like God won me over with love and compassion, and the fact that it's like, yo, God, I didn't listen to you and you still allowed me to be okay.
Yeah.
What manner of man is this? Like, who are you? Whose man's is this? Like, who are you? And it made me feel like, you know what? If you would do that for me, the least I could do is give my life to you. And not the cliche, give my life to you as in salvation, but give my life to you as in control.
Yeah.
So what's a lesson that you learned in transition?
The lesson that I've learned in transition has been self-control. Learning how to be more submissive to my wife. I've been actually doing a really good job at being submissive to my wife. Really.
What does that look like? Because the Bible tells women to be submissive to their husbands. So what does it look like for a husband to be submissive to a wife?
Good question. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So my wife's love language is words of affirmation. So what I do is I affirm her, and let her know that, she's loved, or tell her that she's perfect, or
that's another episode.
Or tell her, or just be like, dang, baby, you sexy, like I could do that. And she like, oh, thank you, baby. Like, yeah, I said that right. I be feeling all giddy, on the inside. But that's a form of submission simply because I'm giving love language that I know how to give to her and for her to accept. Because again, she don't like to be touched. So
I don't like to be touched.
being that she don't like to be touched, I have
He
to find
loves to be touched, and I do not like to be touched.
and
Let me give you an example.
I love this right here. Like, I love that.
I
Touch me.
would never naturally do that.
You know, Omarion.
Oh my god!
Touch.
Get
Like,
your
that's
life.
me.
Yeah, like I don't
that's-
do stuff like that.
That's touch.
Like I can't. But you know what I did to submit to you?
What?
I created a little human.
Two little humans.
No, this specific little human loves to give hugs and kisses and hang on to arms and climb on necks. So what I did to submit to you is I know that being touched is not my love language. So I produced a human who loves like you love. And now everybody could be loved the way that y'all touch each other and leave me out of it.
No, I can't.
That's how that goes.
I mean, my entire family is lovey-dovey. We love to love. Like, we love love. So we
My family loves in different ways. Like, like you're never gonna catch me and my brother like, oh my God, I love you. You lucky if we get a text like that. Like, I love you. Like, love you, Jay. He be like, love you too. Or he might be like, what's wrong? Like, I feel like
because she don't like to be touched, I have to find a way to give her a type of love that I'm able that she's able to accept.
you are doing a great job at it. Yeah. I mean, since you touched on the being perfect, so that you guys don't think I'm a narcissist. When I was pregnant with our first son, the doctor said that he had to find where the doctor even knew that my love language was words of affirmation, right? Because you know how they be like, have the father like pat the head. I was like, do not pat my head with anything while I'm giving birth, actually. And so the doctor was like, give her words of affirmation. And he said, what do you want to be said to you while you are pushing? And I said, I want you to tell me I'm perfect. And the reason why I wanted him to say that is because, when you're giving birth, you feel like the most imperfect human being. Mm-hmm. Like, you feel like you look crazy. You sound crazy. Crazy things are happening in your body. And I needed somebody to remind me that I am not crazy. I am perfect. But I am not a narcissist. He does not walk around telling me that I'm perfect. Although,
no, I'm not doing that.
if you would like to implement that in your submission, I won't stop
and
you.
Listen for those who said, "Oh, you so wrong because you don't want to tell your wife she's listen." Okay, mind yours. Okay.
That's crazy.
She's perfect. She is perfect to me in many ways.
You're just not gonna tell me every day?
I'm just not gonna tell you every day. You're perfect.
Yeah, but you see what you guys are seeing right now, I think is also a result of transition. Transition, when you do it the way God intends for you to do it, there is peace and joy.
Yeah.
That is, wrapped in that. And I think that's what you guys are being able to see. And yeah. Happy 1 year transition, babe.
Let's go.
It's lit. Thank y'all for hanging out with us today. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and look out for more stuff, not only from our podcast, but from the Millennial Minister movement. Remember, it is not a trend. It is not a wave. It's the culture.
It's the culture, y'all.
See y'all later.
Peace.